You may say, but how can I give when I don't have any money? Then you must start with your muscles, with labor and the sweat of thy brow until you have received some of the currency of the realm. Then start giving it and claiming the multiplication of the tenfold return back to yourself. Continue this as you continue breathing, and soon you will be prosperous and surrounded by abundance. Actually, no one ever grew rich working either at labor or at a white-collar job. Those who grow rich are those who organize their minds for riches, who direct employees on the one hand, and who direct their multiplied claims to the infinite on the other hand. As a matter of fact, you do not need any employees to become rich, provided you know the seed money technique and use it persistently. Likewise, you can be an employee, and by using the seed money formula constantly in your life, you can become wealthier than your employer if he fails to use such formula. What is the formula which makes the law of seed money work for you? The formula is derived from Jesus. When properly used, it always produces the desired results. Believe ye have already received that for which ye ask, and ye shall so receive. No words ever spoken or written in any language carry greater or more far-reaching importance than these words. Please note, you are not asked to join any organization. You are not asked to attend any meetings. You are not asked to subscribe to any dogma. You are not asked to follow any ritual. You are not asked to believe any theories, opinions, or suppositions. You are only asked to believe that you already have received whatever it is you want. Surely this is not too great a price for you to pay to achieve your desires. Imagine they are yours now. What could be easier? And it works. It works. It works. Anyone can prove it conclusively for himself. Do you remember the saying, "A little child shall lead them"? Why shall a little child lead them? Because it is easy for a child to imagine, and because children practice imagining more than grown-ups. To repeat, the only thing which you have to believe is that you have already received that which you want. Your age does not matter. Your creed does not matter. Your race does not matter. Your name does not matter. Your sex does not matter. Your political affiliations do not matter. Your nationality does not matter. Your education does not matter. Simply believe you have already received whatever it is you want. No one else can limit you. If you want to limit yourself, you can. Otherwise, the entire resources of the universe may be yours. One morning, not long ago, I was waiting on a street corner in Manhattan for a bus to take me to my office. A man who had been sitting on a nearby bench arose and shuffled over to where I stood. We spoke and passed the time of day. I noticed that his clothes were old and torn, and that instead of shoes he was wearing low-cut rubber overshoes. I asked the question which obviously he expected me to ask. "What happened to your shoes?" "Someone stole them while I was asleep last night," he told me. "What are you going to do for shoes?" "That is what I have been wondering. I found these in the garbage back of the building where I slept," he answered. He showed me the soles, which were more holes than rubber. "What can you get a pair of shoes for?" I asked. "There's a shoe repair place I know where I can get an unclaimed repaired pair for $4 or maybe $5. Then I asked him, "Do you have the money?" "I don't have a cent," he replied. "How near is the shoe repair place?" I asked. He pointed, "Only 2 blocks over that way." "Let's walk over," I suggested. When we reached the repair store, I handed him $5. "See what you can get with that. If you need more, tap on the window and I will come in." In a few minutes, he came out of the store wearing a comfortable-looking pair of repaired shoes. He held out a dollar bill towards me, saying, "I got these for $4. "Keep the dollar," I told him. We walked together to the corner and shook hands, thanking each other. He asked, "Why do you thank me?" "Because I am happy I was able to be of service to you," I told him. We wished each other good luck, and I went on my way to the bus stop. As I walked, I silently repeated over and over again the seed money formula. I have received $50 in return. I have received $50 in return with good to all concerned. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I arrived at my office, business took over and I forgot the incident. Mind you, please, I have practiced the formula for hours and hours over the years. I have worked it almost countless times, both on a small scale and on a large scale. I have seen friends make it work many times, so not only did I believe I had received the $50 in return, I knew. That night, as I opened the door of the apartment house in which I live, a pretty girl came out and smilingly thanked me. I noticed she carried a musical score from The Pajama Game, and I asked her, "Are you a singer?" "No," she answered. "I'm a receptionist, but I'm taking singing lessons." "Who is your teacher?" I asked. She mentioned the name of a vocal teacher who had been a friend of mine for many years, but whom I had not seen for 15 years. I told her my name and asked her to remember me to her teacher. She said she would and went on her way. I went to my apartment, showered, and put on fresh clothes. As I started out to keep an appointment, the manager of the apartment house came to my door and told me I had a call over the phone. I answered it. The vocal teacher was calling and asked me to come to his studio. I went at 10:30 that evening. After we had shaken hands and congratulated each other on none of the 15 years showing, he said, "John, before you moved to California, you did some publicity for me, which proved very profitable to me. You never sent me a bill." I explained that I had done it as a favor, that it had not required any time, merely a phone call. He said, "Had you billed me then, I could not have paid you, but I would like to pay you now." He walked over to the baby grand piano and picked up a check already made out and offered it to me, saying, "Will $50 be all right?" I answered, "$50 is exactly right." There may be some who will scoff and say I have linked two events which had no fundamental relationship to each other. However, the wiser will believe me when I say the $5 given to the needy man for the shoes and the $50 out of the blue for a forgotten service were as certainly linked to each other as my fingers are linked to my hands. Here was a penniless, needy man in rags without shoes who unknowingly brought to me $45 in profit, in added wealth and prosperity, which it is conceivable might never have otherwise reached me. How was this possible? It was possible only because I knew the law of seed money, the principle of tenfold return, and I took the opportunity which came my way of aiding a fellow being and of then applying the law and claiming my multiplied return. I thanked him sincerely before we parted, and should he ever read this, I thank him again. To repeat, and so that there can be no vagueness or misunderstanding in the mind of any reader as to how he makes his claim on the infinite for the multiplied return of his gift, I wish to point out that he does so by believing he has already received such multiplied return. It is as simple as that. Instead of continually saying, as many do, "I want," "I need," or "I do not have," say, "I have, I have, I have, I have, I have." In addition to making the gift to start the flow of prosperity to you, Believing you have already received your multiplied return is your only work. Practice this art of believing specifically as an actor practices his lines, as a champion golfer practices his swing, as a great concert pianist practices his instrument. There is no other endeavor in life which will pay off so well. Begin the practice now if you want to grow exceedingly prosperous and rise above all the want and lack and have great riches in their place. There was a woman neighbor of mine in Hollywood who was on the verge of committing suicide because she could not find work. She had borrowed all she could from friends and pawned everything pawnable. After hours of talking with her, she agreed to give and did give $6.50 of her last $7.20 to the Salvation Army. Within 3 days, she received a cashier's check from a son whom she had not heard from in 5 years. After buying food, paying a week's rent, she had $20 left. She told me, rather sheepishly, that she had taken $15 of that and gave it to the Salvation Army. She said, "It worked once. I hope it will work again." I explained to her that when you work the law, you do not need to hope. You know. A friend of mine, a man named Carol, now has a gift shop in Los Angeles. When he was struggling trying to save enough money to open the shop, he had a letter from a 9-year-old niece of whom he was very fond. The niece asked him to lend to her $300 so that she could have her teeth straightened. Carol told me about the request. He showed me the little girl's picture, saying she was the prettiest child he had ever seen. The picture showed she was pretty. But Carol said, "I can't lend her the money. I have less than $1,000, and I need more than $3,000 to open a gift shop. It will take her years and years to repay me." He continued talking about it. Finally, he asked my advice. "Don't lend her the money by any means," I told him. "Give it to her. Send it to her today." After hours of discussion, I convinced him it was the right thing to do, not only for the sake of his niece, but more for his own sake. Carol sent his niece the money. I think for a while he was sorry because it took more hours of talk to get him to make his multiplied claim for his return. He agreed, however, and did make his claim. The following Sunday, Carol telephoned me. He may not have had tears in his eyes, but he surely had them in his voice. A former partner from whom Carol had been estranged for 12 years or more came to Carol's home and handed him 30 new $100 bills. The ex-partner told Carol that when they had dissolved the business years earlier, Carol had been defrauded out of certain monies. The $3,000 represented this money with interest. Carol opened his gift shop the following month. A novelist friend of mine, working on a novel, wanted to go to the British West Indies for 3 months and finish the book there. He gave me no argument, but went to his bank, as I told him, drew out his last $70, and gave it to his church. He also followed the formula with enthusiasm. In less than a week, I saw him off the British West Indies. A publisher, whom he had not previously known, had contacted him and employed him to do a series of 3 magazine articles on those islands. My friend received a $500 advance, plus a check for $200 on account of his expenses. Please recall that, in the words I spoke to myself returning the bus stop, the phrase was included, "with good to all concerned." This phrase should always be a part of any claim you make on the infinite. There is no telling how the return you claim will come to you. The only telling for certain is that it will come. You do not want some loved one to die and will to you the amount you claim. You do not want to receive it as a result of an injury to yourself. So always, always, always include in your multiplied seed money claim, or for that matter, whenever you draw upon the infinite for anything, the provision with good to all concerned. In this manner, you protect yourself and all others who may be concerned. Carefully check your motive in each of your seed money operations to make certain that there is no content of harm or intended harm in it towards anyone concerned. Whether the money is primarily for yourself or for others, or simply for reserve to practice providing the law, it should manifest with equal ease. The law does not care. But if there is harm in your consciousness towards anyone, that harm will multiply also and return to fall upon your own head. You cannot fool or sidestep the law. Why you cannot will be explained in the pages which follow.